Welcome back to the Celtic Way post-match reaction as Magic Maeda sends Celtic into the fifth round of the Scottish Cup. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the Twitter handle, and I'm joined by Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay on the Exeter Twitter handle, and he's live from outside Celtic Park. Ryan, Celtic 2, Kilmarnock 1. Do you enjoy that, or was it too close for comfort for you?
It's a Groundhog Day, Tony. I feel like you asked me that a couple of minutes before. Sorry for the technical issues that we've been experiencing there. We thought we went live. We thought we did everything there. And then for some reason, it goes live 2 minutes after we've started speaking. So, yeah, a little bit too close for comfort. It gives me that time to rectify what I'd said the first time around, which wasn't the greatest answer. Gives me time to perfect what I was saying. Yeah, too close for comfort. I said after the first 25 minutes to half an hour, even though Celtic were 1-0 up, they should have been 4 or 5 goals up. Yes, yeah. Kilmarnock had chances in the game. Fraser Murray with that great shot that hit the bar. But, you know, the chances, in particular, Kyogo's one that he puts past the post, and then inexplicably, Rio Hatate skying the ball from about 2-3 yards out when it was easily a tap-in. It was one of those games that it was almost as if it was like a carbon copy of the Dundee game. It was turning out that they were so comfortable, and then they allowed their opponents back into the tie. But thankfully, Celtic got the job done. They have Maeda and Nicholas Kuhn to thank for that wonderful second goal. Not to be outdone by Cal McGregor's goal from distance, but that second goal is just everything good about Celtic's forward players. And we've seen that, and thankfully Celtic are in the hat for the next round of the Scottish Cup. Though it was a nervy game, Tony.
And it all started so brightly, didn't it? Callum McGregor drills home his 7th goal of the season from outside the box. His 7th goal from outside the box. You know, just as people were beginning to have a wee downer on Callum, popped up with a decent performance today and a cracking strike ahead of Wednesday night. I'd love to see him do that again on Wednesday night. Love to see any of the players do that, but Callum in particular seems to be fancying his chances from distance. And as you say, Celtic were all over them. Kyogo misses a sitter. Hatate misses a tap-in. I'm still no idea why he skied it. Because all the paces on the ball, all you have to do is make a connection to me and it's in the net, but he made a connection and he skied it. And Daizen Maeda missed a chance when Kuhn ran through as well and squared it to him. So it was all Celtic, and then all of a sudden, Ryan said before at the top of the preview programme, goals change games, and Celtic conceded in first half injury time when it rocked them again, didn't it?
Definitely did. It was a really, really weird goal. It was almost as if it happened in slow motion due to the touch off of the player with his hand. I've got under good authority that the goal was right to stand because of the way that it hit off the hand onto the player. Because if it was the goal scorer that handled it with his hand, it would have been given as a handball. But according to the rules, I don't know what to say about those rules. But yeah, it was. I can hear some people in the background as well. Sorry about that. Yeah, according to the rules, it was the right decision. So a bit perplexed with the way that all came about. But I thought it was quite weak defending at the back anyway from Celtic's perspective, and it did rock them. Although I think that half time came at the perfect time for Celtic to sort of regroup, hear the manager's message, and go back out into the second half. At the end of the day, it was knockout football. Celtic needed to just win at all costs, and they did, and they're through. So, not too many complaints, although it could have and should have been a lot more convincing. And even the players are coming out and saying that after the game. You get Cal McGregor saying it should have been 4-0, so they know that they should have it should have been an easier tie than what it was. But sometimes these things happen, and it's all about being on the winning side at the end of the day, and Celtic got that.
Yeah, we could be talking about something completely different, Ryan, with the fact that Celtic were really profligate with the chances that they created. They can't keep continuing to do that, but they still played well enough today that they were creating. I'd be more concerned if they weren't creating. And when they went 2-1 up in the 70th minute with Daizen Maeda, a lovely finish, controlled finish, they seemed to go up a gear, didn't they? Kuhn hits the bar, and then they created another couple of chances. Adam Maeda came on and created a couple of chances for his teammates, and they never took them. So it should have and could have been more emphatic, Ryan. I'm taking the positives out of that, but I'm just slightly concerned that teams playing a high press against them, Celtic don't like that, do they? And Kilmarnock did that a lot to them today and got a lot of joy from it.
They did, yeah. They were getting joy, and Austin Trusty, who I thought was better than what he was against Dundee, and Brendan Rodgers actually came out and defended his man after the game, saying that he thought he was colossal in that game, which is good to see. I did think he was put under pressure quite a bit by those teams, by Kilmarnock that were pressing quite high, but he wasn't getting involved in nonsense. There was no nonsense in his game. He was clearing the ball out of play if he had to. You'd much rather do that and much rather surrender the ball to Kilmarnock than surrender a goal by making a mistake when trying to keep the ball in the park. I just thought that the two of them, Carter Vickers and Trusty, were better, but they still did have some shaky moments in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was quite a few shaky wee moments all over the team, not just up front with the lack of chances taken, but at the back. Greg Taylor, I didn't think had his best game. The same could be said for Alistair Johnson. It was very much a game for individuals, and Kuhn and Maeda were those individuals, as well as Cal McGregor with the strike from distance. But if you're going to do that, then you might as well, if you're going to rely on these players, and these players have to step up and do it. And in the crunch when they needed to, they did go and do that. And thankfully, Celtic are in the next round. But it wasn't a classic. It wasn't a vintage performance. Even though I did think they played a bit better than Dundee. It wasn't necessarily the response that I wanted to see. But they're in the next round, and as much as you can complain about the performance, it's all about results at this level and these competitions, and they got the job done.
Yeah, getting the job done and being through and being in the hat for the fifth round draw is all that matters, really, in these kind of games. I'm going to play kind of devil's advocate here, Ryan, and say something that I just think there's so much riding on Wednesday night that I think there's been an apprehension towards Wednesday night, and now everything is finally over with. They can, from now on in, concentrate fully on Wednesday night and Young Boys of Bern coming to Celtic Park. It is a huge, monumental, massive, gargantuan, any one of those words, game in the context of Celtic's season. And I just think players are human, Ryan, and there's been a bit of nervousness leading up to that because they've been anticipating it for so long and they want it to come so badly and they want to get a result in it. I just think Wednesday night could be one of those tremendous nights at Celtic Park under the lights, and I'm hoping that's what it is, and I'm hoping now that that's everything out the road, 100% focused now, Ryan. They can't afford to be slack like that on Wednesday night against, and I know Young Boys are bottom of the table or near the bottom of the table, but they're still coming with a point to prove, Ryan. They're still coming to stop you from getting a result that will take you into the playoff round, but we both said it, it's the biggest European game for a long, long time. You were saying nearly 20 years, and I've already stated it. It's the biggest game since that last 16 clash where Kaka scored to knock Celtic out of San Siro in Milan. People can agree or disagree, but that night if Celtic scored, they were going through to the quarter-final of the Champions League. I think it's the biggest night since then, since Strachan's side went to the San Siro. Others can say what they think it is, but it's just massive in the context of what Brendan Rodgers try to achieve for this football club and in terms of Celtic season, isn't it?
It's like you said the word that I would completely agree with. It is gargantuan. It's massive, and Celtic have got to keep themselves motivated this season. Now you look at the league table, you would think that Celtic probably already have one hand on the title. I don't want them thinking like that, but subconsciously in their head they'll be like, we're quite far ahead here. So you've got the Scottish Cup, you've also got the Champions League, and the Champions League is a real game changer for Celtic and those players because it gives them more exposure. Like Nicholas Kuhn, Daizen Maeda, Kyogo, they all want to be playing at the top level in the Champions League in order to continue to do that past the Aston Villa game. And you don't necessarily want to be going into that Aston Villa game needing a win or a positive result. You see even tonight how good they are. Even when the chips are down, they come from 2-0 down to draw with Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium. They are no mugs. They're a really, really good side. So Celtic have to be through before that game even takes place down in Villa Park, in my opinion. Get the job done against Young Boys, get through to the next round and enjoy a Battle of Britain on the final day in Villa Park without the pressure of knowing that you need a result. yes, go out and try and win the game or try and get a point or whatever, but get the job done against young boys. I think that the game takes care of itself, if I'm being honest. In
Correct.
form, off form, I think this is the game that they've been waiting for. I think they've earmarked it for months. They know that this is going to be the big game. Since Leipzig, I would say, you've got the Club Brugge game, you've got the Zagreb game, but that's the game that stands out. Second last game of the league phase, and it's a big opportunity to get into the next round via the playoffs. It takes care of itself, doesn't it, Tony?
I just think the players are human. I think supporters are human as well. They've been playing that well that they've built up such a healthy lead in the league. As you say, it's never over till it's over. I never think like that. But I just believe that, players are just thinking, we want this game desperately. We want to prove that we're a decent side and prove that we can hold our own at this level of competition. And I'm not saying they've had a wee wobble, but I just think players are, as I say, human in their minds. And I think it's extenuating circumstances for maybe the recent tails off in their display in terms of that. But I just think from now on in, you just focus. You've got 3 days to focus the mind, Ryan, and get it sharp and be ready. And I'm sure they will. The manager won't allow them not to think about anything other than the young boys are Bern game now. And as I said it was massive, gargantuan. It is, and it's like it is season defining in terms of the context of the campaign, Ryan. And how good are you going to feel if you get a result and put yourself into that playoff round?
Yeah, I mean, a lot is riding on it, because if you look at it from the other way as well, the other side of things, if Celtic don't get a result and they don't get through to the next round, all of that positivity from the opening first 6 games will evaporate completely, and they need to win. Basically, they need to go out and win this game and make sure that they're in the playoff round for the next stage of the Champions League. If they can do that, then then they can begin to focus on who they might get in the playoff round. They'll be playing against a like-minded team that are also finding themselves in the playoffs. That's exciting, but they've got to deal with the bread and butter first. Win that game. Coming up against a side who are not fancied whatsoever. They're going through a bit of a crisis both on the pitch and off of it in terms of managerial issues. Celtic have got to feed on that. I know it'll be a difficult game. They've got to remind this team why they're struggling. Go in and make sure, make paradise hell for them, is what Brendan Rodgers says. That's what it's got to be on Wednesday. That's what I'm looking for, at least.
And I've got to say, I thought Celtic played particularly well today, Ryan. The finishing was poor, but they created a lot of chances. If it finished 6-1, you wouldn't have complained. I've got to be honest, and conversely, it finished 2-1, and you are complaining because you feel a wee bit that the scoreline doesn't reflect the
it's goal difference, Tony.
The way the match unfolded,
in the Scottish Cup, so it's win at all costs. It's knockout football.
Yeah,
I'd be more annoyed if it was 2-1 in the Premiership and you've not really scored goals when you've had the chance. But apart from the top goal scorer at the end of the season, sometimes that gets given to maybe a League One or a League Two player that scored 4 or 5 goals at the start of the competition. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's all about Celtic getting the result and through to the next round.
I also think the players need this game too to lift them. And I think it is coming along at the right time because, as I say, I just think it's been something that's maybe been weighing them down and they've been thinking about it too much, and it's finally arrived. And I think there's just incredible excitement about it, isn't there? And James McMullen saying can't take young boys too lightly on Wednesday. I don't think they will. I just think a lot of the preparation before and certainly from now on in has been on the young boys game, Ryan. Don't say players look too far ahead, but it's hard not to look too far ahead with this.
We're looking far ahead. We've
been talking about it.
It's an hour after the game and we're already talking about the game on Wednesday night. That's just the way it is. This was the next game. It was important that Celtic got through because there's nothing worse than if Celtic were to not get through and then you see other teams progressing and Celtic have slipped up at the first available opportunity. So they've not managed that. They've not come up against that. They've not slipped. They're through to the next round. We'll see who they get in the draw once all the teams have played. But they're feeling a pretty good. They've had to battle a little bit today.
Yeah.
They came out of the battle as victorious. So that was the main thing.
I don't mind that. I think that's good preparation. I agree with the manager. It's decent preparation for Wednesday night, because there might be times on Wednesday night where you're up against it, you're under the cosh, or whatever, and you're going to have to play yourself through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think Celtic will have the vast majority of the ball on Wednesday, like they did today. So it will be good preparation in terms of a team. And I'm glad that they faced some adversity in the game as well.
Yeah.
That's hindsight, but at the same time, they've faced that adversity and they've came through at the other end. It would have been a terrible, sort of feeling to have dropped points both, or not to drop, but to drop points in one game against Dundee on the Tuesday and then to get put out of the cup on the Saturday. Thankfully, the disappointment of Tuesday did not come into the second game, and they're through to the next round. Therefore, they can actually go in with a little bit of confidence. I'm sure they will have confidence. I'm sure they'll think that they're the overwhelming favourites for the game, being at Celtic Park, obviously who they're playing against. But they had to do it today in order to feel that confidence going into Wednesday. They've done that, and I'm pretty happy with the outcome, to be honest. Given the way the game went, it took a bit of quality from Nicholas Kuhn. Nicholas Kuhn is Celtic's best player by some distance in an attack. Thank goodness for the two of them, because without those goals that Kuhn and Maeda have scored this season, I dread to think where Celtic would have been at, especially with the way the strikers are performing and converting at this moment in time. They've got a lot to be thankful for in those two players, and thank goodness they're back and fully fit, because they are so important to everything Celtic do, not just attacking but on the defence as well.
A big up to Maeda, 15th goal this season, Ryan. He's at 6 assists as well.
I mean, and not everything he did was perfect in the
game.
Of
course.
There was some moments that you're scratching your head and thinking, why has he done that?
He missed a sitter as well when Kuhn teed him up, and thought Kuhn was going to go himself, and thought, no, he's in a better position, and he smashed it straight off the goalkeeper who had just come on, and you're thinking, all right. Yeah. A word on that as well. Hopefully Robbie McCrory makes a speedy recovery. It was a right nasty one he got. I think it was accidental collision with Kuhn's knee. He came out, very brave piece of goalkeeping, 30 seconds into a match. I don't like to see players getting hurt and injured, and it looked a real sore one. So I wish Robbie McCrory all the best, and I hope he makes a speedy recovery and he's back between the sticks for Kilmarnock as soon as possible.
It was a very avoidable injury because, Nicholas Kuhn didn't need to bring the goalkeeper into it if it wasn't for his dreadful first touch. It maybe came to him too early in the game. He didn't have that. That was his first touch in the game, was going through one-on-one with Robbie McCrory. It's that first touch, it's killer, and not in a good way, because it totally kills the chance. He has to run, and then he collides with the goalkeeper. I'm glad that VAR didn't get involved in anything like that. It was a total collision.
I think it was actually
brave characters.
Yeah,
completely two brave competitors. And Robbie McCrory, who is a brave player, we've seen it before. Seen it when he played for Rangers in that Glasgow derby a few years ago. Fingers crossed that he's okay and he comes out another end. Okay, but I thought the goalkeeper O'Hara did well when he came on. A couple of really, really good saves. Must be difficult, not especially early on. You're prepping to be a sub in that game, and all of a sudden you've got to play the whole game as a sub goalie. 30
seconds in, you're getting the call to go on.
I think that hurt Celtic as well. The fact that the game was stop-start.
Yeah.
Early on, they couldn't get into their mojo because it was start-stop, and then there was another injury as well. I believe Kilmarnock's number 8 had to be taken off midway through the first half as well. So those couple of changes and couple of injury concerns for Kilmarnock wouldn't have helped, because all the stoppages, I think the stoppages only hurt Celtic in this league, and in cup competitions as well. They don't want the game to be stopped. VAR decisions, injury concerns, they want to just keep on going from minute 1 to 90, and if they stop, then I think it hurts their mojo. But also, they got through it.
Also thought Nick Walsh halted play a couple of times unnecessarily.
Yeah, agreed.
And broke up Celtic's kind of momentum they were trying to build. I don't want to have a go at the refs per se, but there's a couple of times they could have let it go. Certainly 3 occasions that spring to mind, and I just think that sometimes you say to yourself, I don't think it's deliberate, but there are times when you think they could let it go, and it breaks up Celtic's, as you say, mojo, momentum, call it what you like, head of steam. And I see it frequently, especially with Celtic, because they're a team that like to pass with tempo and a bit of zip, bit of zest, bit of vigour. and they did that today, and we're cutting Kilmarnock open right up until Kilmarnock scored late on again, like Dundee did in the half, and it kind of let's say it didn't go pear-shaped per se, but it kind of knocked them out their stride, and they were getting into their stride. They were creating a lot of chances and missing sitters. Yes, Francis Lester on the word sitters. He's not witnessed so many sitters in the one game either. Kyogo Kunhatati Engo's finishing was poor. Couldn't agree more, sir. I would be more concerned if Celtic didn't win. I'm smiling because they won. That there tells you it could have been more emphatic. The manager knows that, and he'll be getting ripped into them in terms of being more clinical and professional if the chances come along on Wednesday night, Ryan. They have to go. There's no two ways about it. You cannot be as wasteful as that on Wednesday night if the opportunities present themselves like that.
Yeah, they know what they need to do on Wednesday night. They have to take the chances when they come. I expect them to take the chances. If they're going to miss in any game, I would much rather it was this game than the game ahead. They still got a multitude of chances. It could have been 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, whatever. But at the end of the day, they still get through, and it'll be the same on Wednesday. I'm not going to say it's win or bust because they can still draw and get through just the way that the table goes. But I want them to think it's a must-win game on Wednesday. I want the attackers to think like that. I want the defenders to defend like that, defend for their lives. If they can do that, then I'm sure that they will get the job done because they are a good football team. They've not really been shown it a lot, especially away from home recently, but they need to begin showing that they're a good football team. And I think Europe's coming at the right time for them.
I get back to it. I think that's been preying on their mind, this game. It really has. And I think you'll see a different Celtic approach on Wednesday night, one that will put a smile on their faces. Yeah, 420 odd people joining us, 426 as we speak. Thank you guys, 9:15 on a Saturday night. We value your company, we love your company, so thanks very much for choosing to.
I'm delighted that the technical issues have been sorted out as well, because I was worried in case it wasn't streaming to certain places, but thankfully you guys have turned up in your droves watching us. We know that you've got plenty of content that you can choose from, plenty of different channels that bring this sort of coverage, but we thank each and every one of you for joining us. And just quickly, if you want to support us just that little bit extra, you can become a Celtic Way subscriber on the website. We have got instant analysis from Tony, we've got player ratings from myself, Q&As from Brendan Rodgers. All you need to do is visit www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. On there, you will get the Q&As, the player ratings, the instant analysis. You'll also get transfer news. You'll get the free. You'll have the dedicated app on Google Play Store and the iOS Store. Scouting reports, player analysis from the likes of Stuart, John, and Alan, and everything else that you need regarding Celtic. So if you're looking for the best Celtic content that money can buy, £1 for 6 months, join the Celtic Way at celticway.co.uk/subscribe.
I would do appreciate it, and thank him. Apologise for the technical issues. That's what happens when you let your old dad loosen the buttons, let him control of the Starship Enterprise.
Just one more thing before we end off tonight's show. I thought it was well received and well shown, the fact that Celtic fans stood up and applauded, and Kilmarnock fans, they both stood up and applauded Dennis Law. That minute's applause, it was impeccable. It was immaculate. The sort of turnout in terms of clapping and applauding the Scotland legend, Manchester United legend, Aberdeen as well. So that was a lovely moment, well observed by both sides of the support, and it was a really nice moment ahead of a proper cup tie.
I think as well, as we touched upon in the pre-match show, lots of people have a lot of affection for Dennis Law, and people of a certain vintage. He was one of their first footballing heroes, and for any Scottish footballer, he's going to be the only one ad infinitum. He won the European Footballer of the Year, the Ballon d'Or. That's never going to happen again, Ryan, for a Scottish footballer. Or if it does, it's going to take somebody exceptional. Just try and conceptualise that Dennis Law won the European Footballer of the Year. Everybody said Jimmy Johnson should have won it. Probably should have. He didn't. Dennis Law did. And the moniker the King, I think, sits well with him, because I think a lot of people, he was their first kind of real hero, because Manchester United were one of those teams that they kind of grew an affinity for and an affection for because of guys like Dennis Law, George Best, and Bobby Charlton. So I'm delighted they did that today, and I was really touched by it as well because, it's everything I hear about him and those who are dealings with him. As I say, I only ever spoke to him once on the phone, and he couldn't have been any nicer. And I said that I wish every legend was like that. And every legend should take a leaf out of that, Dennis Law's book, and prove why they're a legend. He was very humble as well, a cracking guy. And every column inch that you read about him, they'll say the same thing. He was a wonderful, wonderful man to be around. And not only that, he was an excellent footballer, top-notch, top-class footballer, and he'll be sadly...
Well-rounded individual, both on and off the pitch, is what you could say about Dennis Law. The lawman, as he was
the lawman,
as well.
Indeed,
It's always a good sign if they've got a number of nicknames. That's usually a good sign, or a measure of the man and a measure of the player as well. So, yeah.
And it's hard not to picture Jonathan Watson's impersonation of him on Only an Excuse, because it made you laugh heartily. And I believe that even Dennis Law loved that, thought it was brilliant. So that just shows you how much of a legend that he was, that he wasn't too proud to poke fun at himself and be self-deprecatory in that way. So excellent. Love that, Ryan. But yeah, it was worth mentioning because I thought Celtic did that really well today. So God bless the King, as they say, the King being Dennis Law in this instance. But it's... I mean, all roads just point to Wednesday now, Ryan, don't they? It's those games are out the road, the ultramarathon, whatever the manager wants to call it, or he has called it. We are now, in the precipice of a game for the ages.
We certainly are, and it's all roads ahead to that game on Wednesday. But thank you to each and every one of you that have joined us for today's game, and we hope that you can all join us as well for Wednesday's game and in the lead up as well. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll have plenty of videos upcoming all about young boys. So fingers crossed that Celtic can get the business done. But plenty of work to do before then, Tony.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. Celtic through to the 5th round of the Scottish Cup. Celtic 2, Kilmarnock 1. It's goals from Callum McGregor and Daizen Maeda either side of a Bobby Wales goal for Kilmarnock. Young boy, 19, scored in his first ever outing in the Scottish Cup. A moment to remember for him, but not a result to remember. But excellent stuff. Ryan, I'm going to let you get home, and we shall see you all again on Monday. I'm not too sure who'll be on, but it'll be at least two of us, Ryan. Per many 2 from 4. And we'll be able to dissect it all again and really preview the young boys game and ramp it up. So looking forward to that. But job done, Ryan. That's the bottom line. Celtic are in the hat for the draw. I hate the word hat. It's a draw for the 5th round of the Scottish Cup. I'm happy with that.
Yep, absolutely. No further comment from me, Tony. I echo every sentiment that you've just said there.
Cheers. Guys, take care. Have a great end to your weekend. Take care, and we'll see you Monday.
Cheers, guys.